The 49ers wide receiver depth chart without Brandon Aiyuk is kind of a piece of shit. This wide receiver depth chart turns into something that you don't even want to look at real fast if Deebo gets hurt and Brandon Aiyuk's not on this team.
This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
I heard Kyle Shanahan on KNBR talking about what week one would look like for 49ers wide receivers if Brandon Aiyuk wasn't out there. And I guess this is a scenario that every Niner fan needs to be bracing him or herself to happen. Like mentally, this could happen. So here's your depth chart without Brandon Aiyuk. And if you don't mind me saying, the 49ers wide receiver depth chart without Brandon Aiyuk is kind of a piece of shit. It really is. I'm going to be just totally honest with you. You'll like it more than anyone else who is just, if you're a 49er fan, there are guys on this team that you've liked the way that they've played and you're going to root for them, so you feel really good about them and you want to bet on them going forward. But if reputation and actual production, what did you do last year, matters, the 49ers receiving core without Brandon Aiyuk kind of sucks. Because what you have is one guy at the top who is a bona fide stud that you hope doesn't get hurt every game he plays in Deebo Samuel. Deebo's the real deal. If Deebo were impervious to pain or injury, this guy would be among the best players in all of football. And he is until he gets hurt. But you got Deebo at the top. He's a stud. After that, you got Juwan Jennings. Now, I like Juwan Jennings. You like Juwan Jennings. Had the great nickname of Third and Juwan, but you didn't get to use it very often because you know what? Juwan Jennings, unless you're a 49er fan who likes him and roots for him, is a completely dismissible football player. Totally dismissible. Juwan Jennings had 19 catches last year for the 49ers in the regular season. If I told you, yeah, your number 2 wide receiver had 19 catches last year, would you feel really good about that no matter who he was? The answer is no. That is not a lot of production. You might like the player. You might think the world of him. You might think he's the perfect fit. You might even think he's ready to answer the bell and, 5x that number. 19 catches is all he had last year. So don't go telling me about the great danger that exists with Juwan Jennings, okay? After him, it's Chris Conley. Chris Conley had a nice Super Bowl. Chris Conley had a better postseason than he did regular season, but it wasn't really that hard for him to have because in the regular season last year, Chris Conley had 1, 2, 3 catches. That's it. That's all he had. Am I supposed to get really excited about a guy who had 3 catches? I'm not going to allow myself to do it, no matter how much I think he might be ready to take a step forward. I mean, a big step forward from 3 catches for Chris Conley would be about 20 catches, which would have him 1 more catch than just Juwan Jennings had last year. After Chris Conley, now you got Ricky Pearsall. What do we know about Ricky Pearsall? We know that he hasn't been healthy a day enough in his career to even put on a contact jersey. He's never caught a ball, and if he did, for all we know he could break a pinky finger. This guy, I'm not saying he's made out of glass. I don't want to attach it to him, but it's been an uneven start to a career where he was supposed to come in and make everybody breathe a lot easier because, we might not have the Brandon Aiyuk oxygen, but you can breathe in a little Ricky Pearsall, and that should be enough to fit. I don't trust Ricky Pearsall at all. Neither should you. That's where he lives today. I hope he moves out of that house into a much nicer, we can trust this guy neighborhood. But right now, Ricky Pearsall is a total unknown. Don't bet on it. Jacob Cowing after Ricky Pearsall. Here's a guy who made a nice first impression in his first preseason game we started him in, but Jacob Cowing has never caught a ball in a game that counted in the NFL. So I'm not going to go ahead and, convey an awful lot of responsibility on a 4th-round rookie wide receiver. After that, it's Trent Taylor. I think we can all agree there's not very much to be excited about Trent Taylor. After that, it's Ronnie Bell, Danny Gray, and Robbie Chosen. Those are 3 dudes who probably aren't even going to be on the team. So again, here is the 49ers wide receiver depth chart without Brandon Aiyuk. Deebo Samuel, a bunch of dudes. That's it. That's the 49ers wide receiving core without Brandon Aiyuk. You add Brandon Aiyuk, all of a sudden everything changes, and man, you got something to worry about, and you're still just one injury away from really having a depth issue. Let me tell you, what happens in the game where Deebo Samuel actually does get hurt, and then your next game, your wide receiver 1 is Juwan Jennings, your wide receiver 2 is Chris Conley, and then you got the Ricky Pearsall, Jacob Cowing, who can actually play today situation behind that. Sign Brandon Aiyuk this afternoon. What is going on? This wide receiver depth chart turns into something that you don't even want to look at real fast if Deebo gets hurt and Brandon Aiyuk's not on this team. The 49ers go from, hey, they're loaded and got talent everywhere, to, okay, so George Kittle can catch a football, Christian McCaffrey can catch a football. The rest of these guys, no clue. Seriously, no clue. Not one of these guys beyond Deebo Samuel has caught more than 19 passes in any season. And excuse me if I roll my eyes at 19 passes. Guess what? Maybe Juwan Jennings is a late round fantasy pick for some Niner fan who just thinks, okay, I'm going to bet on the holdout. Maybe he gets more reps and more targets and more opportunity early in the year without Brandon Aiyuk if he's not there. But nobody's drafting Chris Conley. Nobody's drafting Ricky Pearsall on their team as he stands right now. I mean, these guys, who knows what kind of year they're going to have. Or maybe they shock the world. Maybe Ricky Pearsall is freaking about to be Ed McCaffrey 2.0. But I want to see it before I start betting on it. Right now, the 49ers are betting on, hey, absolutely nothing went wrong and no one got hurt in a year where they're trying to go and win a Super Bowl. And oh, by the way, all the bad feelings of losing a Super Bowl should be surrounding the team like a circle of wagons going back to the scene where it all happened. Thanks for watching. Tune into the Damon Bruce Show live on YouTube every weekday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific.